Hello and welcome to this week's Key Stage 3 literacy lesson. So today we're going to be looking at a range of things. If you think that something is too easy or you're really competent in that area already, that is absolutely fine. Just move on to the next section. You will need your exercise books and a pen. You'll also need access to a dictionary or to a search engine of some sort. So firstly, we're looking at exclamation marks and question marks. Exclamation marks are brilliant, but when should we use a question mark? So a question mark, as you know, comes at the end of a question. What are you doing? Asked Mr. Baker. Whereas an exclamation mark can be used at the end of a sentence when someone is excited or shouting, or if they're saying something that's strange or surprising. I've just seen a flying pig, exclaimed Mr. Daly. So what I want you to do with this section now is decide whether an exclamation or a question mark should be added to the end of these sentences. What is that? The building is collapsing. Put that down before I get mad. Oh no, I've forgotten. Is the bus going to be late? What time is it? Good heavens. This chocolate tastes disgusting. Leave him alone. Can I have toast for breakfast? So as you know, if it's a question, you need to use a question mark. If something has been exclaimed or it's excitement or shouted, then it will be the use of an exclamation mark. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause this now, and then I want you to write out the sentences with even an exclamation mark or a question mark. So pause this now. Okay, so here are our answers. So question 1, what is that? Question 5, is the bus going to be late? Question 6, what time is it? And question 10, can I have toast for breakfast? All of them needed a question mark and the rest had an exclamation mark. Now, moving on, what I want you to do and look at is I want you to try sorting the following words from the box into those that might be used with exclamations and those that might be used with questions. Now, if you think, have a look at the words, because it could be something you're exclaiming or stating or shouting or acting surprised, but some of these words relate to questions. So let's have a look. Wonder, scream, demand, cry, ask, cheer, please, shout, inquire, yell, beg, roar, and request. So I want you to pause this section here and I want you to write down the ones in one box that relate to questions and one in another box that relate to exclamations. Okay, the next task today is looking at colons. Now, what we find is that students that work at a level 6 and above, so a B grade GCSE and above, tend to be able to use colons and semicolons accurately. Now, as you can see from the picture image there is a physical part of the body that is called the colon. So you may want to get on a search engine on your laptop or computer or phone and have a look at what the function is of the colon. But the function of the colon in literacy is very different. As you can see, it's 2 full stops, one on top of the other. And there's 3 different ways that you can use a colon. So firstly, a colon is used to introduce things, ideas, lists in items in a list, a quotation, or an explanation. So for example, he'd lost everything, his friends, his happiness and his pride. So you can see there from the explanation and from the sentence that you use a colon to introduce ideas in a list. The second way you can use a colon, it can be used between a statement and then an explanation of the statement. For example, this time he'd win. He couldn't afford to lose. So as you can see, there's a statement, this time he'd win, and the explanation of the statement because he couldn't afford to lose. And then finally, the last one, a colon can be used between 2 halves of a sentence, balancing the 2 halves. Time is a great teacher. Unfortunately, it kills all its pupils. Okay, guys, so what you've got there is two halves of the sentence are balanced and the colon is in the middle. So if we move on, I want you please to look at these sentences here. So we've got 5 here. So time for a bit of colon surgery. Insert the colon. So number 1, Mr. Daly had a clear set of demands. A giant supercomputer, a brand new Ferrari, and a sack of gold coins. Now, if you listen to when I'm speaking, you might actually see where you use the colon, because it's either introducing a list, introducing a statement and an exclamation, or explanation, sorry, or introducing some information. So the second one, Mr. Scarborough's intentions were clear. No one would be going anywhere. Mr. Baker demanded, "Why are you here?" Sir Alex Ferguson announced his best squad: Rooney, Berbatov, Jukes, Baker, Scarborough and Daly. And then finally, number 5, Miss Jukes's words were powerful, the message unforgettable. Right, what I'd like you to do now, ladies and gents, is stop the clip here. I want you then to write out the sentences inserting where the colon needs to be. Okay, and here are your answers. So number 1, Mr. Daly had a clear set of demands. A giant supercomputer, a brand new Ferrari and a sack of gold coins. So as you can see here, the colon has been used here to introduce a list. Number 2, Mr. Scarborough's intentions were clear. No one would be going anywhere. So we've got his statement of intent and then we've got the explanation. Number 3, Mr. Baker demanded, "Why are you here?" So the colon has been there to introduce some information or introduce what he is saying. Number 4, Sir Alex Ferguson announced his best squad: Rooney, Berbatov. So you there have got the colon to introduce a list. And then finally, the last one, Miss Jukes's words were powerful, the message unforgettable. There you've got 2 halves and it's been balanced there with the colon. Okay, so the next part of today's session are looking at definitions of words. Now, again, you need to use a dictionary or a search engine to do this task. Now, let's have a look if there are anything unusual or any patterns between these words. So number 1, infinite. Number 2, definitely. Number 3, opposite. Number 4, recite. Number 5, write. Number 6, spiteful. Number 7, dynamite. Number 8, exquisite. Number 9, insight. And number 10, satellite. Have you found the pattern there? Well, as you can see, all of these words have got "ite" in them, I-T-E. They all end in I-T-E, with the exception of 2, and that is spiteful and definitely. Now, as you can see, the words do sound differently, even though they've got the ITE in them. Now, I want you to look at infinite and definitely. A lot of people spell these words incorrectly. What I need you to remember in those words is in it, I-N-I-T, in it, is in infinite and definite. So I want you to think of that slang phrase, in it, and then you'll hopefully remember how to spell it. Now, I would like you to pause this part of the clip, and then I want you to use a dictionary to find the definitions of these words. So can you pause it now, please? And here are our answers. So infinite. Something that is infinite has no limit, no edge or end. If you describe something as infinite, you are emphasising that it is extremely great in amount. Now, definitely, you use definitely to emphasise that something is the case, or to emphasise the strength of your intention or opinion. Opposite, if one thing is opposite another, it is on the other side of a space from it. Recite, when someone recites a poem or other piece of writing, they say it aloud after they have learnt it. Write. Now, as you can see, this word write, R-I-T-E, is obviously spelt differently to write, W-R-I-T-E. So they've got the same sound, but they've got a different spelling and different meaning. So they are homophones. Now, this rite, R-I-T-E, is a traditional ceremony that is carried out by a particular group of people. Spiteful. Someone who is spiteful, does cruel things to hurt people. Dynamite. Dynamite is a type of explosive that contains nitroglycerin. Now, did you know that? I didn't. I knew it was an explosive, but not that it contained that material. Exquisite. Something that is exquisite is extremely beautiful or pleasant, especially in a delicate way. So I might say to someone, oh, look at your ring, isn't it exquisite? Look at that bracelet, that watch, aren't they exquisite? So you're giving somebody a compliment about it being very, very positive, but it is a delicate thing. Okay, number 9, incite. If someone incites people to behave in a violent or illegal way, they encourage people to behave in that way, usually by making them excited or angry. So you tend to hear that person incited violence at a football match. And then finally, number 10, as you probably are aware, a satellite is an object which has been sent into space in order to collect information or to be part of a communication system. And the satellite tends to navigate and go around the Earth. Okay. So moving on a little bit further, what you have here is the word of the day, which is collage. Now, as you can see this week, I haven't put the antonyms in there. I think the word collage, it's a noun, okay? It's a difficult word to find. So if you can find antonyms for collage, I want you to send them in. I want you to, either you can text us, or you can send it to any of our social medias. You can email it to us. So any antonyms for collage. So I want you to find out the meaning of collage, synonyms for collage, and write a sentence with collage. So can you please pause this clip now? Okay, so the meaning of collage is a picture that has been made by sticking pieces of coloured paper and cloth onto paper. Synonyms for collage are assortment, collection, compilation, or montage. Now, sentences with the word collage in are: this super cute collage print dress ticks all the boxes for both the spring and the summer. Add to giant art collages and climb aboard some of the ships. They make a huge amount of money by selling drawings, collages, and models for their pieces. So you know that we do like to look at tier 1 and tier 2 vocabulary here. So what we have got here are some bits of information. So what I want you to think about is, looking at these bits here. I want you to think about the materials of the collage. The fact is, it's a piece of art sticking various different materials such as photographs and pieces of paper and fabric together. I want you to look at the pictures that are there, and I want you to think about, do you think that those pieces of art would be rough or smooth? And I want you to think about why they would be that way. Okay, so moving on. We're going to look at today's recommended read. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to think about what you think the novel might be about just from looking at the front cover. So we have here the #1 international bestseller, The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. So have a really good look at the images around the side, in the middle, the image of the person at the top. And I want you to talk to somebody in your household about what you think it might be about, or you can write it down. Please feel free to bullet point the information down. That is absolutely fine. Okay, moving on then, we have got the extract from our recommended read, The Book Thief. Now, this is very different to things that we have read previously. It is extremely hard-hitting. It is a little bit more older and a maturer read. What again you can do is, as I read it, you can make notes or bullet point information down. And I want you to think what else the novel could be about and how does it engage the reader. So this is the extract from The Book Thief. As I've suggested, my one saving grace is distraction. It keeps me sane. It helps me cope, considering the length of time I've been performing this job. The trouble is, who could ever replace me? Who could step in while I take a break in your stock standard resort style holiday destination, whether it be tropical or of the ski trip variety? The answer, of course, is nobody, which has prompted me to make a conscious, deliberate decision to make distraction my holiday. Needless to say, I holiday in increments, in colours. Still, it's possible that you might be asking, why does he even need a holiday? What does he need distraction from? Which brings me to my next point. It's the leftover humans, the survivors. They're the ones I can't stand to look at, although on many occasions I still fail. I deliberately seek out the colours to keep my mind off them. But now and then, I witness the ones who are left behind, crumbling amongst the jigsaw puzzle of realisation, despair and surprise. They have punctured hearts. They have beaten lungs. Which in turn brings me to the subject I'm telling you about tonight, or today, or whatever the hour and colour. It's the story of one of those perpetual survivors, an expert at being left behind. It's just a small story, really, about, amongst other things, a girl, some words, an accordionist, some fanatical Germans, a Jewish fist fighter, and quite a lot of thievery. I saw The Book Thief 3 times. Wow, I think that's an extremely intense piece of writing. So if you want to make notes or make bullet points about what you think this novel might be about, feel free to do so. You can spider diagram your ideas. You do not need to write in full sentences or paragraphs. And I want you to think about, how did that piece engage the reader? Think about the way that I've read it. Think about the way that it's written. Okay, and finally, so I've changed the Boggle game this week for this alphabet game. So you can do this with the family members or people in your household. So what I want you to do is this. Okay, you need to find different answers to the people you live with. So you get given a letter. Now with that letter, you need to find a girl's name, a boy's name, a vegetable or fruit, a country, a car, chocolate or sweet, and an object in a house. So let me give you an example, the letter P. Now with the girl's name, you might put Patricia, somebody else in your house might say Petunia or Pamela. If they do, you would get 2 points if you get a completely different answer from the other person. If you get the same answer and you've both put down Patricia, for example, you would only get 1 point if you share the answer. If neither of you, or if you do not get an answer, you will get no points. Now onto the boy's name. You could have Paul, you could have Patrick, for example. If you've got different names, you get 2 points. If you get the same name, if you both had Patrick, you would have 1 point. Now for a vegetable or fruit, you could have peach, pear, plum. The country, you could have Peru or Pakistan. The car, you may have Peugeot. For chocolate or sweets, you may have Polos. And the object in the house might be a pan. Okay, so don't forget. So use a different letter from the alphabet. Now I would give yourselves around about 90 seconds to do each round. It is lots of good fun and it's really good to learn different things. Also, please ensure that you do have a country. It can't be a county or a town. It can't be a city or a state. But if you do want to change this game yourself, you certainly can do by choosing different titles. Okay, so that is the end of this week's session. I want to thank you so much for listening. I hope it's been helpful. Don't forget, any of the work that you do, please feel free to send it in to us via email, via social media, or you can come into school and hand it in, or you can post it to us. There will be rewards and prizes for the best work. Thank you for listening. Take care now. Bye-bye.